Hello, denizens. Well, welcome to Disney Plus's Skeleton Crew, green light or not. As I always want to remind you that while I will be throwing in my personal thoughts, the green lighting process is only about making an executive call as to a show's ability to grab its intended audience and its longevity potential. Quality is not always a determining factor. So with that in mind, let's proceed. There will be spoilers. For those of you who follow my green light or not episodes, you'll know that, my number one category is the premise. A premise is your door opener. It's like never having heard of Kiss and then seeing their posters for an upcoming live gig and going, well, that looks intriguing. Alternatively, you can build a show around a star, but that's not the case here. Skeleton Crew is a Star Wars themed version of The Goonies in space, which is not a bad idea. In fact, John Watts, the director, reached out to Richard Donner, the director of Goonies, for advice. A group of misfit preteens rocketing into space and getting caught up in pirate adventure as they try to return to their home planet, which curiously looks a lot like an idyllic Spielberg-like future Los Angeles suburb. Sounds good. Personally, I have always had a problem with premises where people have been thrust into a situation against their will with the goal of wanting to get home, like Space 1999. The kids as reluctant adventurers is not my favorite angle, but their plucky camaraderie and the much smarter girls, I'm sure, will get them out of all the trouble they get into. If this was an adult show, I'd give the premise a 5 out of 10, but because it's a kid's show, I'll add a point, and Star Wars adds one more for a total of 7 out of 10. Next is casting. Jude Law, the big name, he's not in episode 1, so I can't judge his role, but I can't imagine him not giving a good performance. The kids, for me, were a mixed bag. It features the now mandatory team diversity, and sorry, I'm going to screw up everyone's names. Ravi Kabit-Conyers plays Wim and is ostensibly the lead, but when he teams up with the other three, it looks like the intent is to share the load. Wim is the charming slacker who gets everyone into trouble. Ravi does a great job in the role. He's very charismatic. Robert Timothy Smith plays Neil, a blue elephantine alien who I'm told is not an Ortolian. Neil is the mandatory fat kid of the team. In the sense he's the outcast. Not much character development in show 1, but he's very well played. Ryan Kira Armstrong is the badass, smart, older girl, Fern. I was not impressed with her acting in episode 1. She didn't elevate any of the scenes, but she's cute. Kiriana Crater plays the emotionless KB, the expert tech girl. They all have to be girls and they all have to be expert. She is the one with the flippity eye visor, which in episode 1 just goes up and down. I have no idea what its use is. Tunde Adebimpe plays Wim's exasperated single dad because Hollywood has had a hate-on for the nuclear family for, forever. Even pretty woke. Nick Frost provides the voice for their crippled pirate droid, SM-33. With Jude, I'll give this cast a 7 out of 10. Under home base, I'm happy to convey that there actually is one, a pirate spaceship with lots of secrets to explore that I assume will be where they return to at the end of each episode. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Number 4 is great story, well written. It was just okay. Everything was a reworking of things we've all seen before. There were no real surprises. That being said, this is a kids' show where all these old tropes might just be original and surprising to the kids watching. It was serviceable and didn't dissuade me from wanting to see episode 2, but it did give me a cause for concern. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. Next is production values, and here I will say Disney opened the checkbook. It is easily the best-looking Disney Plus Star Wars show. Neil, the elephant boy in particular, is wonderfully convincing. Where the New Republic would get the cash to build such a pristine suburbia is probably a question not worth asking. This gets a 9 out of 10. At number 6, I have my return to equilibrium note. I don't know what the equilibrium state is for this show, at least from the first episode. Do they return to their ship at the end of each episode to finally fly off to another adventure like in Firefly? Do the characters return to their null state? Do they return to their home planet? The pilot show did not give enough info, so I'm going to ignore this category. Next, asks the question, does the show have legs? Can the producers tell me a story that might take place in season 5 that is exciting? If they end up looking for pirate treasure like Goonies, the possibilities are endless, but not immediately apparent. But I'll give this a 7 out of 10. And finally, the creative team. Creators Christopher Ford and John Watts have legitimate cred, probably best known for John Watts' Spider-Man directorial work. Ford wrote Spider-Man Homecoming, my least favorite Tom Holland-era Spider-Man movie, which Watts also directed. Now, look, these are mammoth projects, and I give them credit for just getting out alive. Apart from Jon Favreau, this twosome would give this former network executive confidence that they would get the job done. I'm giving Ford and Watts an 8 out of 10. The final total is 53 out of 70, or 76%, a passing grade, well, more than a passing grade. That was what I averaged in high school, and I turned out okay. Before I give my final green light yes or no pronouncement, I want to talk about the show a bit. It's clear the suburban Spielberg influence is all over it at the beginning. It felt more like future Earth and less like Star Wars, even though you could recognize the droids. Not a complaint, just something that made the show more Star Wars adjacent rather than Star Wars. Based on this one episode, I wouldn't hesitate greenlighting Skeleton Crew. First episodes are tough to pull off, but Watts and Ford do a reasonable job of setting the table, though, as I said, I'm concerned by the lack of originality. I have a minor quibble with the score. For the most part, it's overwrought, often inappropriate, and just bad. My main complaint is that while Wim and Neil have a relationship and Fern and KB have one that's sort of explored, the four together didn't. Apart from meeting at the buried spaceship and arguing over it, I would have preferred that all four had more history with each other. It would have made for better dialogue opportunities. Did you see The Skeleton Crew? Did I get it right? Till next time, denizens, be seeing you.